Hello, and welcome to the Llama Commerce Show. I'm Kurt Theobald, CEO at Classy Llama.
And I'm Brett Curry, lead strategist here at Classy Llama, and we have an amazing show today.
We
say that every time.
It's a strange show today.
It's a strange
but it's amazing.
show today.
I mean, we are here to demystify, what do we normally say? I've forgotten, it's been so long.
Yeah, we demystify e-commerce into actionable, digestible bites.
It's an amazing mission that I forgot.
It's a good mission.
It's a really good mission. Today, we're going to be stepping a little bit outside of our normal bounds, because you can see we have an actual in-studio guest, if you can call my office a studio, which we do to make us feel better.
We're stepping outside of our comfort zone.
That's right.
Into the danger zone.
Whoa! You guys don't even get it yet. You don't
know.
know. You don't even know what you're about to witness.
Mind will be blown. So this will be so much fun, and we're really excited to have a very special guest with us, Mr. Tom Whitlock. Welcome,
Tom.
Thank you.
So you finally have been introduced to show business, and I hope you're really seeing this for how huge it is.
Retire.
Retire right
I think we should actually make some hints about what Tom does and why he's on the show. So let's start with Ott. Everybody knows Ott. If you watch the show at all, one-arm table tennis trophy. And we give this out to whomever delivers the most value on the show. Okay, so we have Ott. Okay, then we have this thing,
which is probably the most coveted trophy in all of e-commerce.
It's easily the most coveted trophy. I mean, his one arm.
It's one of the only.
It's a defect, but it's not a big defect.
Right.
And then we have this, which we're going to unveil. But Ott has a really big problem today because there's another trophy in town.
Here's Ott. Here's the other trophy in town right here.
So let's unveil this trophy, and then we'll talk about Tom. If you can just guess what this trophy is.
What is this trophy?
What is that?
Here we go.
Everybody, what is this? This is trivia.
This is the real deal, too.
Is it an Emmy? Is it a Golden Globe? No, it isn't a Golden Globe. Golden Globes are globes.
It's a freaking Oscar.
That's
what it is.
How about that? And it's not just any Oscar. This Oscar belongs to Tom. Woohoo! So Tom won an Oscar. How amazing. We have an Oscar on the show. We don't even know what we're going to talk about. We just were like, he won an Oscar. Let's have him on the show.
Yeah, we don't like him or anything. He has nothing to say.
It's all about the Oscar.
So we're just going to sit here. You guys can watch the Oscar, and we will too. No, I got to hear Tom speak a couple weeks ago at our Rotary group, and crazy enough, we have an Oscar winner right here in our hometown of Springfield, Missouri, which is crazy. And so as I heard some of Tom's stories, I thought, man, this is amazing. And then we ran into each other at the grocery store, of all places. I had an arm full of laundry.
You were stalking me.
Hey, this is a hilarious story. Yeah. He's in the grocery store
with my laundry.
The big thing of laundry. So just try to figure that out.
This makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Were you doing your laundry or were you grocery shopping?
I bought some organic turkey.
He was grocery shopping. That makes sense at the grocery store.
I was taking my laundry to the grocery store, and I turned around and I said, "It's Tom Whitlock." And you're like, "Yeah, it's a crazy guy with laundry in his hands."
Are you following me around?
Well, you were behind me, so that. But we started talking about totally proof. Started talking about stories, and I thought, this would be really fun for the Llama Commerce Show audience, because I think there's life applications, there's business applications, and beyond that, it's just a ton of fun.
Well, we have a ton of entrepreneurs on the show, and it's, we're going to talk, Tom, if you're willing to share about how you got your start and got into the music business, and kind of what the journey looks like, because it's been a pretty amazing trip from what we heard on the pre-show. And
I think with most entrepreneurs or most lives, when something really spectacular happens, it's never just a straight road. It's usually a winding road.
Yeah.
There's usually some interesting things and some things that seem like chance or whatever that happen that make it all work. So
let's hear about that, though.
Let's hear about
the winding road that first led up to the Oscar, and then we want to hear what happens since.
Well, I was born. No, I grew up playing drums in rock and roll bands. Everybody in Springfield seemed to play in rock and roll bands when I was growing up because of the
you grew up here in Springfield.
The effect of the Beatles, right? 64.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody's playing tennis rackets, to Beatles song. And so pretty early on, I was playing in bands. And back then, every event had a band. So any school dances, et cetera, et cetera. So we made a really good living. Actually, my mother worked at the unemployment office as a claim technician. I made more money playing drums when I was like 14, 15 years old than my mother did. And we would travel all over. It was insane. We'd drive to Birmingham, Alabama to play a gig.
At 14?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Play 6 hours a night at the Gaslight Square Club, where everybody played. Allman Brothers, B.B. King, and some bunch of goobers from Springfield, Missouri. And as a matter of fact, I think got ready to leave the last night. The guy paid us maybe half. But But so I did that, and at the same time, there was a bit of a recording presence here because of the Ozark Jubilee, which was the first syndicated country music show here, and anywhere. And so I used to play on demos of some of the songwriters, like Wayne Carson, who wrote The Letter and You're Always on My Mind, and Ronnie Self, who wrote Sweet Nothings, and some other Brenda Lee hits. I think he wrote I'm Sorry, So Sorry. And not that you guys would know that song, but
no, but it sounds cool.
Good one. Really good one. Yeah, I got
it. And so that recording part came into it. And so then when I was about 14, 15, I became obsessed with the piano and would sit in my mom's living room and just noodle. And I wasn't one of those guys that learned other people's songs. I just made stuff up.
Really?
And which doesn't really make sense, but that's what I did. And so when I went to college, I literally dropped out after my first semester and went to Los Angeles, where I had a kind of a look-see deal with a division of Columbia Pictures, where I would basically go once a week to a meeting with a chick who didn't care at all, and I'd play her whatever songs I'd written that week. And the premise being, if she heard something that would fit with what they were doing or wanted to introduce me to someone. And pretty quickly I realized it was just a placeholder. It was so I moved up to the beach in Carpinteria below Santa Barbara there and wrote songs, and came back home and started a band that got a record deal with Mercury Records, and of course that failed massively, but
as most record deals do.
Yes, and as this one should. And so I dropped in and out of college multiple times, working on a theory degree.
Music theory. Yeah, interesting.
Of which I know nothing, but I have a degree. And I even have an honorary doctorate. God knows what that's about. And so rock and roll band. So about 83, a friend and I, who had played in the band that had the record deal, decided to go out to LA to start a band with another friend who was already out there.
And this was going to be the band that would really make it.
Yeah. Well, I think you always think it, but at this point, by this point, it was original songs. And so we went out and found it was impossible to do because you had to rent a place to rehearse. You had to pay to get in the clubs. No, it's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, I went out with $400 in a 1970 Volvo without its right front seat so I could fit my drum kit in. Awesome. I was not prepared
like your bus.
to buy my way into the music business. And so shortly thereafter, a friend who'd gone to school here called me and asked me if I could come work at a place called Faulty Products, which was a Miles Copeland, the guy that manages Sting.
Okay.
And he had a way too cool record importation business of the coolest music from the UK that came in. And so I took a job there, basically counting the returned records.
Glamorous.
Prestigious.
Yeah. And but fun, actually. And then about 3 days into that, the same friend called me, asked me to come over to North Hollywood to a studio that had been called Davlin, which was where Al Stewart, Year of the Cat, and Boz Scaggs, Silk Degrees, and a bunch of really, really big records of that period, or before that period, had been made. And the guy had gone bankrupt due to some bad habits. And so my friend asked me to come over and help him get some speakers out of the main studio. So while I'm there, and we're both up on ladders, the back door slams, and this guy with this Italian accent comes through the back door, really, really angry, dropping some bombs. And I said, "Hey, Dave, who's that guy?" And he said, "Oh, that's Giorgio Moroder, the guy that just bought this place." And Giorgio was a famed producer and had already won one Academy Award, I think, for Midnight Express score. Or maybe it was Cat People.
It was about to win another one too, right?
Just minutes later for Flashdance. Song, yeah. And the main song. And so then I said, "Dave, ask him what's wrong." And so he went up. He'd gone up to the front offices, and it came back that his Ferrari brakes were all spongy coming down Coldwater Canyon, which is kind of like.
Well, I mean, nothing will ruin my day faster.
Yeah, I know. Anytime you get spongy brakes, watch out. It's like a sailor.
Only on a Ferrari, but yeah.
Well, actually, strangely, not. Maybe a year after that, Don Simpson, who was the producer of Top Gun, one of the producers with Jerry Bruckheimer, actually impaled a Ferrari on a fire hydrant coming down Coldwater because he slid on. They bleed the hydrants, and so there was all of a sudden wet, and he was probably going 100, and literally the fire hydrant came up through the shift tunnel. But anyway, so I said, "Now, Dave, go ask Giorgio if he wants me to fix it." And he came back and said, "Yeah." And so I went to Pep Boys and bought all the cans of castor oil brake fluid I could, and came back and bled out all the fluid, put new fluid in, bled out all the air. And the guy thought I was a genius.
Yeah.
I think I charged him, $20.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, maybe a week later, they asked me to just come hang.
Yeah.
And there'd been a young lady.
We could use this guy. This guy is useful.
Well,
There are more
they need
cars.
somebody dumb enough to come work 100 hours a week for $5 an hour.
Right.
And previously it had been this huge German, beautiful blonde woman named, I think her name was Gabby.
And you're like the next best thing. I mean,
Not even close. She'd had to go home because her significant other in Germany had gotten ill. So there's an opening for a guy dumb enough to work 100 hours a week. So at the time they were working on the score to, they were finishing the tail end of Flashdance and beginning the score of Scarface, the Al Pacino movie. And so my reward for everything I did, meaning I would clean the place, I'd run any errands. If Brian De Palma was there and he wanted a bagel, I'd go get the best bagels I could find in 10 minutes or less. Everything. Took care of, you know, it was a hoot. But my reward was that at 5 o'clock or so, I could go hang in the studios.
Wow.
And
you just observe what they were doing.
and Giorgio's main engineer would teach me stuff, which mainly meant he would yell at me.
Okay.
But learning their processes, because you know they had a different way of working, which wasn't tons of musicians. It was synthesizers and drum machines, and sometimes they used real drums. But so it was a whole different thing from recording I'd been involved in earlier, where you basically recorded real people, you know. And so I learned methods, and then as that went on, my next reward was I got to go. Well, then we built 2 more studios, so I would sleep on the floor to get up at 5 a.m. to let in the carpenters to build the studio. And none of this was a trial. It was fantastic. But so my reward was I could start recording my own songs in another room. And then one of the early ones ended up on the German record of Giorgio's and did well. And it just kept accelerating.
Yeah.
And so then I can't remember exactly where, which project it was that, but Giorgio had been using a guy named Keith Forsey to write lyrics. Keith had been with him way back the Munich days. Great drummer, played on the Donna Summer records and all that stuff, and had written some really big hits like Bad Girls and some of the Donna Summer hits. And Keith was producing Billy Idol, and that's about the most time-intensive thing you can do, because that's insanity times 10.
Because of all the complexity, or because of Billy Idol?
Because of the crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. And the fun, or you know, and the women. Just it was you know, a big scene thing. And so Keith was not available, and so Giorgio needed lyrics for someone. Keith said, "Well, get Tom. Tom's writing great lyrics." And so the door opened, and the other part of the equation was speed. So basically, Giorgio would make up a track, go back in another little room, and just kind of a cassette machine and a synthesizer and a drum machine would program just the beat he wanted, which was usually boom, check, you know, 4 on the floor kind of. And then he'd work on a melody and chords, and then he'd generally listen to it overnight, come back, make some changes. And I would write the lyric that night.
So melody first, and then lyrics later.
And write the lyric that night. And then generally the next day, whether it was male or female, we'd have a singer come in and do the demo. And then the next was, depending on what project was going on, find a home for it, find the right singer, which was sometimes traumatic, because, you know, one of my favorites was by the time we did Top Gun, Columbia wanted to use all their artists, so they had Amy Mann. Can I say that?
Oh, sure.
I know the Hush Hush Voices Carry was her first hit in a band called Till Tuesday, and then, well, she's married to Sean Penn's brother. Really nice lady, but she called up and they'd sent Take My Breath Away to her, and she called back and said, and Georgia said, "You take it." And so I answered, and she said, "I really like the song, but I want to rewrite all the melody and all of the lyrics." And so I
love it, but I want to rewrite
I said,
it.
"I'll call you back." And so I went into Georgia and said, here's what she wants. He said, "Don't call her back." And but yeah, so there was frequently a bit of a sweepstakes in terms of who ended up singing songs. Generally, they wanted it to be whomever was putting out the record label, the soundtrack. That, you know, they'd want their artists. But I don't know. So I've wandered around enough.
Yeah, this was a winding road.
A winding road. It's also, well, here's a question that I have, because I think as you look at entrepreneurs and where they find success, or just in life, you get opportunities, like you get big breaks, whatever you want to call it. You have these opportunities that present themselves. Did you know, or did you have anything in the back of your head telling you at the time when the brake issue, the Ferrari brake issue hit, did you have anything in the back of your mind saying this could lead somewhere, or were you just trying to be helpful?
Just helpful.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Cool.
See, one thing I love about the story so far is that you said it a number of times. You said, like, it wasn't a trial. Like, it wasn't work. And I think that's actually really important, especially for young entrepreneurs out there that are moving into it, to recognize
it's going to take 100 hours a week.
You got to enjoy the journey. Like, if you don't enjoy working that hard and doing what you're doing because you're running after a carrot of some sort, you're in the wrong business.
Yes.
Like, if it's a trial to you and you're like raking your face across coals to do whatever you're doing, stop.
Yeah.
Change it up.
Yeah.
So I just love that you enjoyed it the whole time. It was not a trial to sleep on the floor.
But I know guys that would give it all up because they had to go have dinner with some young lady, or all the distractions that can happen, and sometimes delaying that gratification
is worth it.
Was not to say I didn't have dates.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly,
so I think you said it was 3 years after the brake incident, and then you started working the 100-hour week, that you and Giorgio collaborated on the song that you won the Oscar for Top Gun.
And we ended up with 5 in Top Gun, but this one, Take My Breath Away, is by far the one.
Yeah. So Take My Breath Away is what this is sitting on the table for.
Yeah.
That's what you won that for.
Yeah.
So why that song? Like, why was it that song that you won the Oscar for? Video bomb time.
Oh, yes. High five. One of 2,947. Thank you.
What?
Probably because it was the
That's Brian. Like, he loves video bombing our show. So I'm sorry to everybody out there that had to see him again.
He was starstruck.
Because
we'll call somebody.
That's a magic song. That's why it won the Oscar.
So talk about the magic, though. Like, why do you call it the magic song?
Well, it's just it's in the content of the song. The lyrics are extremely image laden.
Mm-hmm.
The track is kind of weird and
it's
special, that weird bass line with all the modulation, wah, 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 the bass line. So that was something different. We got an incredible vocal from Terry Nunn. Home run.
Mm-hmm.
And
you had to search for a little while to find her.
We did, right? but Giorgio, when I first met him, he and a guy named Richie Zito had done a song for Berlin, which was her band, which became a hit, kind of in Orange County, Southern California. I think it may have gone national. I think it's called No More Words. And that's how we first knew of her. And so when we were struggling to find somebody to sing that song, and then after we wrote the demo, when Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer of the movie, heard the song, the next weekend, they got Tony Scott, the director, and the crew back together, and they shot those scenes. Which before that, it was just guys crashing in planes and playing volleyball.
Jock fest with their shirts off playing volleyball. Yeah. Well, it was so interesting to me, and I love, the film business is fascinating, but I know you were explaining they screened, used audiences pre-Take My Breath Away, and then after Take My Breath Away, and the scenes were added. But talk about that, and talk about the difference that just that song made.
There was this wonderful guy named Joe Farrell that invented the method of, you have screenings throughout as you're editing a movie together, and you have people come in and fill out a questionnaire, and they use that to predict audience satisfaction and potential gross. And so early on, when it was a movie of volleyball and sweaty
testosterone
guys,
fest,
and crashing planes, they thought it was going to be an $80 million movie.
Respectable.
And then after we wrote Take My Breath Away, and they shot those extra scenes, which added a love interest and a female
flirtations and
and a potential audience of 50% of humanity.
My wife loves the movie, and she probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Right, although she might have liked the volleyball scene.
That's true. That's probably true.
But anyway, the story I've heard is that the numbers went from a potential 60 to 80 million to $1 billion franchise.
Insane.
And that includes merchandise and
which ended up being probably pretty accurate.
Yeah,
with merchandise, I bet it is. I mean, it's still popular today.
I can't document that number, but that's just what I've been told.
Yeah. So to think that a movie that's 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever,
that
difference of 2.5 minutes it was like a 10x improvement in the show or more in the gross. And
which, by the way, if we're wanting to find applications, little tweaks can make a big difference. And we've seen that in our business a number of times where it's like we're working on the chemistry of something. And I think a movie is chemistry. You know, you're working on the tweaks of how it, how it's all going to come together. But you can just find that one thing that clicks everything into place, and suddenly,
getting the right emotion, the right connection to the audience and the prospect, and it all.
I'd like to interject. The big one to me is having the courage to do that, to change something, fix something, and throw that away if it's not right.
Right.
Because I know guys that whatever they do is etched in stone. And they can't.
I did that. It's brilliant.
They're stuck there. Or maybe it's pride or all those things. But the big one to me is do over. And over and over.
And I think part of that is the honesty to see it for what it is, like to really identify. Yeah, that's not good enough. Instead of getting your ego wrapped up in it or whatever, like whatever's wrapped up in it, to be able to really have the honesty to see this isn't good enough yet.
Right, and get past lazy.
You gotta
stay there and until you really know it's right.
Make it great.
One of the things we talk about too is that sometimes quality is in the quantity. You have to do a lot of good stuff to find something great. And what was you were saying pre-show? How many songs a week or a year that were you writing?
At least 2 songs a week, so 100 songs.
100 songs a year. Crank out 100 songs a year. Wow.
And by the way, Tom was going to bring in like a bunch of, what are they, platinum records. We were going to put them all on the back. There was going to be enough of them to like blot everything out back here. Because what, you have 60, the equivalent of 60.
60 million.
You actually,
So like 60 million records sold.
There's only 20 million of them hanging in my office.
Because you only get a platinum for a single song that does a million. Is that the idea?
No, well, there are singles, but there are also album.
Okay,
full
album.
And so, and then sometimes they make you a vanity one that'll have, like I have, US is 9 million Top Gun, so I have a vanity one that's, 9 stacked up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the best part is the record company gave me this one, and then whoever did it, the plaque is the wrong record company. So the indignities never stop. It doesn't matter how successful you are.
That's great.
Somebody will.
But what I get there is like there's a pressing. You just press. You want it to be great. You're always focused on it, doing what you have to do to make it great. And that shows in this wall of accolades that you have. It's a reflection of that commitment to things really being great and being willing to make changes to make them great.
So you better love it.
You better love
exactly.
it. You gotta love it and almost obsess over it. Yeah. One quick question that I think would be fascinating. How has this changed? Because this happened almost 30 years ago, 1986. Which is a great year.
I'll take it as it is.
Absolutely.
No problem.
How has this changed your career, the scope of what you do, the process?
Was it an inflection point? Did you see this big shift after that?
We had a really big run for 9 years, and then Giorgio decided to retire, and I never reached that same peak because I wasn't getting tracks from people because I'm primarily a lyricist.
Right.
And like 99.9%, that's what I would prefer to do. But for a long time, it led to more movies.
Yeah. Let's talk about a few of the other movies just for fun.
I don't remember them.
I saw Rambo. This is one of the Rambo movies, and Over the Top, and all.
Dream a Little Dream.
Several movies that I had seen and liked and thought that's cool.
We should have printed out the list.
Yeah, that's probably would have been good.
Yeah. Frankly, I don't even think about the past.
Really?
Yeah, because you're always
doing what's next.
New.
So which is a great segue. What are you doing now? What is Tom Whitlock, Oscar winner? What are you doing now? And how are you keeping that drive? Other than appearing on amazingly prestigious shows like
I know I am sweaty.
It really opens up the doors.
It does. You have this to thank for today, Tom. For sure.
Wow, I hope I can still take you home.
What?
So I produce stuff for people. As I was telling you earlier, I help a lot of people record vocals. Produce vocals, get as much as possible from the real singing part as opposed to the auto tune and the chopping and cutting and pasting. I'm building a new recording studio. I had a really, really, really elaborate studio, and at a certain point, it made no sense to have that here, and so it actually was sold, and So I bought a really amazing console recently that was theoretically the console that did the first Guns N' Roses record and
No kidding.
a bunch of amazing records at Rumbo, which was over in the valley. And so I'm acquiring cool old stuff for that, which is actually kind of time consuming to find the good stuff.
I bet. That's got to be awesome, though.
But I like to just fool around, just go down there and make stuff up and then find a home for it. But
still working on the craft, still
yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I'm trying to learn how to do it.
That's great. Well, one of my favorite stories you told, and I think it's just because I'm a Bob Dylan fan and I like his music, but you have a tremendous Bob Dylan story. I guess this happened not too long after the Oscar, right? Within a few years or whatever. Yeah. So tell us the Bob Dylan story.
In 4 minutes.
Okay. So I'm at home in Woodland Hills and the phone rings and this voice goes, is this Tom? And I said, yes.
Bob Dylan,
and he said, it's Bob Dylan. And I said, well, I didn't say much at first. I said, oh, hi. And and he said, I got this track from Giorgio. I'll stop doing the voice. And so we were doing, I think it was Rambo 3. And Giorgio had given him kind of this Cat People ominous low synthesizer kind of track. And Bob had no idea what to do with it. And he really liked this one melody that was kind of this mama, mama thing. And he was singing this on the phone. I really like this. And I didn't really know. I hadn't heard the track. He said, so can you come out to the house tomorrow morning? And so I went to his house for, I think it was 3 mornings, about 10 a.m. And you go out there and there's no driveway. There's just these 2 dirt things where people's cars are going through. And about 100 yards in, you see these 2 burly bodyguards that, because I assume any person that ever heard Bob try and is out there tries to go on his property, and so we went in and it's this real cool copper domed part of the house, and we sat in there and worked on this lyric for 2 or 3 days. I think it was 3, and what I was told, I was not there. That he just probably didn't need comments, and maybe I don't know that he reacted badly. It was just like, I'm out.
He was done.
And he was out.
Yeah. Someone said, "Can this sound more like Knocking on Heaven's Door or something like that?" And that was enough for Bob.
Yeah,
he was done.
Yeah, I was not there to witness it, but I can see it because he was pretty strong in his confidence, and he was. But there was some
this is the way
material thing as well.
Like he believed in the song so much that when someone said, "Oh, it should be more like this," he's like, "That's it." Don't mess with my song.
You're killing the song.
That's what I totally understand that.
But apparently the song lives on too, right? I mean, Bob still, rumor is Bob.
It didn't leave his heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, he apparently plays it at Thanksgiving dinner.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Totally cool.
Unfortunately, I don't get royalties for that.
You talk about
turkey. You don't even get Thanksgiving dinner for that.
Can we talk about money for a second?
Please. Oh, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to talk about
statutory royalty rate in the USA is 9 1/4 cents per song per sale.
Okay.
So that 9 1/4 cents is split between however many writers there are.
Got you.
And as a writer, you have the right to keep your publishing. Songs are divided in between writer's share and publisher's share, and that's a throwback to way back when everybody was signed to a publisher in the Brill Building in New York, and so they took half, and maybe they'd give you $20 a week to live on or whatever. And a lot of people now, well, they're in business to make money, and steal your share too. And now a lot of people are able to keep both. Some people make a deal, to get money to keep the rent or whatever, so they will sell their publishing. But then there is a certain period, and I can't remember if it's 28 years, 26, 30, you can then reclaim that. And so I know I have a lot of compatriots that are in the midst of this process now, which essentially more than doubles your income.
Wow.
And there are also licensing fees that you get. So so when you see Danger Zone or Take My Breath Away, like there was just a Fiber One commercial for Take My Breath Away. That is, I think I got 2 payments of 50 grand. They did it one time, and then again, that was what I got.
Right.
So it's a potentially very lucrative thing. That's why some people get it that you need to write hit songs.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you shared in the other interview that I heard was, I think you surrounded yourself with the proper attorneys and the proper people, because you did this amazing work, this great work. and now you're making sure that you capitalize on it. And
Right.
I think that's another key to success as well is you got this great product or this great service, do the right things to make sure
It's about
you're
that
making
lazy
money
thing
on
you're
it.
talking about.
Right.
Don't
Yeah,
get lazy after you do something great.
Yeah, make sure you do get the money that's out. I mean, because there
Absolutely.
is money out there.
Mhm.
I've had the same account for 28 years. This guy is a wizard at finding those pennies.
Yeah.
Because this is a business of pennies.
Yeah, but it adds up.
Yeah.
The e-commerce is a game of pennies in a lot of cases as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Fascinating, man. Good stuff. Well, let's
That's
reset.
good.
Let's do another show right now. Let's just reset. Let's keep going.
Are you melted yet? Are you feeling okay? Odd's like sitting
Odd's
here,
got
he's
a
like,
real-
oh my gosh.
I was wondering if he's going to be kicked off the show now for good. Because it really
No,
doesn't stack up
Tom,
to
you're
it.
gonna have to take it because we got his self-esteem is so low right now. You're gonna have to take your trophy back.
So seriously, which do you like better, Tom? Which do you think?
I'm going with Odd.
We'll have an
Oh,
interview
man.
in a little,
See?
in a few months and say, Tom, what has Ott done to your career? Now that you've won Ott, what has this done for you?
Because the stories are great.
I'm
No
just
doubt
really
you win
intrigued
it,
as to who hacks the arm.
but- I found this in my attic or something. I didn't even win this trophy. Okay, to be clear, I wasn't good enough
No
in
idea where.
So you're not
1999.
the evil guy in the jungles of Africa that's chopping.
Correct.
Taking out trophies
Correct.
one by one. So good. Tom, this has been fantastic.
Thank you.
for
Absolutely. I mean,
joining us. A
actual
lot of
bites are
fun.
normally what we do, but I mean, I feel like the actual
Lot of
bites
good
are,
stuff
there's a lot
in
of good stuff. I mean,
Oh,
follow
man.
through. Don't get lazy. I mean, focus on quality and love what you
But
do
love what you do.
because you're gonna have to
Put
work
in the
hard at it
hours.
to be really successful doing
When you
it.
do find success points, make sure you do all the little things that are necessary to make sure you're making the income you should be making and having the success that you.
Mhm.
Because you only may have a couple of amazing hits. I think that's true in business as well.
Mhm.
You may have a few things that click, and if you don't capitalize on it,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it's gonna be nuts.
Anything you want to add to that? Actionable bites for all the business people out there?
Bye.
All
Folks, thanks so much. If you haven't seen Top Gun, we recommend it because this guy's going to get like 4 cents when you watch
I
it.
want to watch it this
And I need
weekend.
that
man.
for
That's right. I'm ready to watch it again as well.
So
So
that's great. Hey, as always, check us out on social media channels. Ask us any questions you have. If you know of another Oscar winner that we should interview, let us know.
Let's keep doing it. Let's do an
I mean,
Oscar
we just need
series.
an Oscar series. I
Oscar
agree.
series.
I'm going to try to win an Oscar so I can get interviewed on the Llama Commerce Show because I really hear it advances your
But
career.
between now and then, let's find other
Try to
Oscar
find some
winners.
other- So yeah, so absolutely. Anyone else out there that's won an Oscar wants to come on and talk about it? It doesn't have to be relevant to e-commerce at all, obviously. So,
You crushed.
Hey, thanks everyone for joining us, and as always,
stay
stay
classy.
classy.
Now wheel up and stop it quick.